AITA for letting someone skip my bachelorette party and not telling them new details that would have changed their mind? Story 1. Apologies in advance as I had a hard time writing the situation in a single sentence. My brother has been trying to push me to get closer to his girlfriend, married together 3 months. I've done my best to get to know her, initiating dinners, trying her hobbies with her. It's eepy, but we honestly don't really get along. I personally think she's a snob. She complimented my designer bag, but took the compliment back when she found out it was thrifted. As in literally said, "Yike." I take that back while she thinks I lack culture and sophistication. Also something she's mentioned when trying to convince me to do a makeover with her. The issue is that I'm getting married this year, and my brother has been really trying to get her involved. I put my foot down with the bridal party since they've only been dating for 3 months, and I don't know her, but he insisted that I invite her to the bachelorette. It was originally supposed to be super low-key and local. Mary tried to push for something more extravagant, but it really wasn't in my budget. When I wouldn't budge, she told us something came up that weekend and she couldn't go. I was later surprised by my friends who had come together to organize a lavish weekend through favors and points, i.e., one of my friend's aunts works for a spa, so she was able to get discounted packages. Another used her travel points to book a suite, etc. I was not told about this and was truly and happily surprised. The issue is that Mary found out when we posted pictures and she was pissed. My brother is now saying that I deliberately left her out, but she told me she was busy. Mary said that if she had known what the weekend was like, though, she would have rearranged her schedule. I feel conflicted because I suspect that my friends didn't tell Mary on purpose, but they're claiming they made these plans after Mary bowed out and didn't reach back out since she was busy. My brother still says I should have double-checked and made more of an effort to let Mary know my plans, so I figured I'd ask the internet for their thoughts. Our advice: you're not the a-hole in this situation. You were upfront about your plans and Mary chose not to attend due to her own reasons. It's not your responsibility to ensure she knows every detail of your event, especially if she initially declined the invitation. Your friends organized a surprise for you, and it's understandable that they might not have reached out to Mary after she said she couldn't make it. Your brother may be biased because of his relationship with Mary, but ultimately, it's your bachelorette party, and you have the right to invite who you want. It's unfortunate that Mary feels left out, but her feelings are not your responsibility, especially given the circumstances. It might be worth having a calm conversation with your brother to explain your perspective and reaffirm your boundaries regarding your wedding celebrations. First comment: this is exactly right. The bachelorette party is supposed to be about celebrating the bride-to-be. I would point out to your brother that his lovely girlfriend literally told you point blank that she would have rearranged her schedule to accommodate something she thought she'd enjoy, which means that whatever fake thing she was pretending clashed with your party, it was clearly something that could be rearranged at her convenience. And yet, even if we pretend that her other plans were real, she clearly didn't care enough about celebrating you as the bride to rearrange her plans up until that point. I would ask your brother quite bluntly if he actually cares about you, or how you feel as a bride and his sister, being treated as nothing more than a source of entertainment for his girlfriend. Because not only are you NTA, but looked at through that lens, she actually owes you an apology for making your special occasion all about herself. Also, slightly off topic, but she's not nearly as cultured and sophisticated as she thinks. As someone who has literally socialized with heads of state and has lots of old money relatives, I can tell you without hesitation that someone who actually has any culture or sophistication would never make that statement. It's incredibly tacky and rude. And to anyone who knows anything about actual high fashion knows that vintage and thrifted designer finds are considered an absolute treasure, not something to be embarrassed about. A dear friend of mine is married to one of the most famous and recognizable actors in the world, and regularly wears dresses on the red carpet Oscars, included from shops that specialize in vintage designer finds. You should be proud of yourself for scoring a designer bag from a thrift shop. Second comment: bye. I'm extremely hurt that your girlfriend flat out said that she wasn't interested in coming to my bachelorette for me, and your takeaway is that I should have enticed her with cooler activities. It is not my job to entertain your girlfriend. I only invited her because you wanted me to, therefore her initial invitation was a favor to you, and it was certainly not my responsibility to second guess whether she was lying to me about the fact that she claimed to be unavailable. But it's time to move past that. I think it is now perfectly clear that Mary literally doesn't care about me. And that's okay. If she makes you happy, that's what matters. She and I don't need to be best friends. But I will not be extending any more invitations to her other than those where she is your +1. NTA. D. I actually consider your brother to be the biggest in this situation, since he used his family connection to you to pressure you to include her, and then hypocritically blamed you for the fact that she chose not to attend when he shouldn't have asked you to invite her unless he was sure she would want to go. Her ishness is more impersonal, and limited to the fact that she is exhibiting entitled and snobbish behavior. Story 2. AITA for telling someone she needs to let someone babysit her youngest son sometimes? My sister Lane 30F has 2 sons, Jake 6 and Luke 1. She's a single mom and the boys have 2 different dads and both are uninvolved. Until Luke was born a year ago, Lane and Jake had their things together that mom-son time for them to just bond. Jake loved it, and when it stopped after Luke was born, it really hurt his feelings. Lane told him that mom-son time had to stop now that he had a brother who needed her time. But where the problem comes in is Lane has no problem sending Jake to me or to our parents or our grandparents while she spends mom-son time with Luke. A few times we have offered to babysit Luke so she can have time with Jake as well, and she has always said no. In recent weeks, Lane has been complaining that Jake doesn't seem to like Luke and has shown zero interest in playing with him or interacting with him. She told me Jake refused to sit with Luke when she asked him to so she could get some photos of them, and another day he waited to eat his lunch until she had Luke down for a nap, even though she knew he was hungry. She told me Jake won't even touch Luke or look at him. I asked her if she felt like it might be jealousy because Luke gets time with her alone when Jake doesn't. She said no. I told her Jake had asked for mom-son time with her, and she said no. She told me because he's a big boy and Luke is a baby. I told her Jake was still her baby too and deserved her time just as much as Luke. She asked what she would do with Luke and I told her we'd offered to babysit so she could have time with Jake. Just like we do with Jake and did even when he was a baby. She told me it wasn't happening. A few days ago she started complaining again about Jake not paying any attention to Luke and acting so resentful of him. I told her I explained how she could help with that and she ignored me. She told me I gave her no valid advice. I said I had, and she ignored it. I told her she needs to let us babysit Luke sometimes or Jake is going to continue feeling replaced and resentful, and she'll push him away and never successfully get him to bond with Luke. She told me I had no right to tell her what to do and FAK me because I'm still a kid 21 and don't need to interfere in her parenting. AITA? Our advice. No, you're not the asshole here. It sounds like you genuinely care about the well-being of both your sister and her children. Your concern for Jake's feelings and the dynamics within the family is valid. It's clear that Jake is feeling neglected and that his relationship with his mother is strained due to the lack of quality time together. Your suggestion of offering to babysit Luke so that your sister can spend more one-on-one time with Jake is a reasonable solution to address this issue. You're not dictating how she should parent, but rather offering a helpful suggestion to improve the family dynamics. Your sister's reaction seems defensive, possibly because she feels criticized or judged. However, your intentions appear to be coming from a place of love and concern for both her and her children. It might be helpful to have a calm and open conversation with her, expressing your concerns and reaffirming your willingness to support her and her children in any way you can. First comment. You are great for doing this. I had a similar situation with my niece and nephew. When my nephew was born, his father, my ex Bill, decided that he'd rather spend time with his son than his daughter. I made an effort to spend additional time with my niece doing separate things with her, including daddy-daughter dances when he refused to do so. I spent a similar amount of time with my nephew as well. My ex Bill had a shocked Pikachu face when he watched his daughter down the aisle last year. I wish your sister would be as appreciative of your offer to help as my sister was. No matter what, make sure you're there for Jake. You gave very sound advice for a 21-year-old. Second comment. Paul, our daughter was coming right on the heels of a house move, so we took that opportunity to move our son from the nursery furniture to his own big boy room. He got to choose the room-themed superheroes, picked his wall color, and we really sold it to him to avoid the hurt of having to give up his baby furniture. Once our daughter was born, we went out of our way to do one-on-one time with him. I'd take him to the mall to play on the play stuff there and ice cream while my wife stayed home with our daughter. My wife would take him to dinner and a movie, and I'd stay home. We also made sure that he would get time on his own with grandparents and his aunt, so he didn't feel like he was being neglected or that his sister was taking up everyone's attention when he was around. I realize Up's sister is a single mom, so passing off one parent for the undivided attention time isn't an option, but she has family that can help and absolutely needs to take some time to nurture her oldest.